And welcome to another edition of DT Live. I hope everybody's doing well today. And give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to get some stuff set up here. For those of you that are hanging out in the YouTube chat already, let me know how the audio levels are. Give me a yay or a nay on the audio. All right. Quite a few of you guys are already in the YouTube chat. Lots of interesting discussions going on already in the YouTube chat. Today, we'll probably just do, a standard, Q&A session with you guys in the YouTube chat. So if you got questions or comments, I'll try to get to what I can. Okay, audio's great. All right, everybody gave me a yay. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out. So I actually tried to give you guys a heads up a little bit today on the live streams. I don't do too many of these live streams, but I felt like I should do one today. Because when I got up this morning, checked my analytics in YouTube. And of course, I had just passed the 100K mark as I was checking the analytics in YouTube. Actually, I hit even 100,000, not 100,001, not 99,999, but exactly 100,000. I was like, awesome, we should do a live stream today. So I created a quick 5-minute thumbnail and, scheduled the stream this morning, for later this afternoon. And that thumbnail I created was one of the most glorious thumbnails I think I've ever created. Unfortunately, somebody, I guess, decided to report the thumbnail, and YouTube took down my thumbnail. Actually, I got a very nice email from YouTube basically saying, we are taking down your thumbnail because it may violate our policies. We really don't have any human beings here checking stuff like this. You can appeal, but the appeal may take forever to get to. And of course, I was scheduling this live stream for this afternoon, so there's no sense in appealing something like that. Basically, they said that they weren't going to strike the channel or anything because they're not sure I violated any rules. I think the email, I guess the summary of the email from YouTube was, due to COVID, they just don't have real human beings checking this stuff. So somebody reported it, they're going to take it down. But since they can't actually check it, they're not actually going to strike anybody either. So I may or may not have done something wrong with my thumbnail. I don't know. I don't think they know. But a lot of you guys thought that thumbnail was hilarious. I got to admit, when I created that first thumbnail, I laughed for 5 minutes straight after I made it. It was the greatest thing ever. A lot of you guys were asking, I had to take it down, obviously, from YouTube because it'll probably just get flagged again. They'll take it down, they'll take the stream down. So what I'm going to do is, typically, I'm going to stream for about an hour today. We're going to do a 1-hour stream. That's a good length, but not too long, where chances are this stream will also be synced to Library later. So later this evening, this live stream will also appear on Library. And when it does, I will go into Library and manually change the Library thumbnail to the one that I originally had this morning for this stream. So, because Library won't care, right? Yeah, post the thumbnail on Mastodon. I missed it. I will definitely... I will probably, when the library link is up, I will just link to the library video, which will, of course, show that thumbnail as well over on Mastodon. We get to some of the chat here. Now, some of you guys have been here for hours, and I can't go back and check what some of you guys said past a certain point here. So I can only see back for the last few minutes that I've been here. And of course, a lot of congratulations on the 100K. Thank you guys. Congrats from Bogdan. Thank you, Bogdan. Let's see. Congrats from Skeleton. Appreciate that. Peter also, 100K. Congrats. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that, buddy. Peter is watching this in Epiphany browser in GNOME. That's how bloated he is. Okay. I've never really gave Epiphany a shot. Just because it's a meme browser, right? I don't run meme programs, right? My programs have to be real programs. So I can't run stuff like Epiphany or Conqueror or any of that kind of garbage. No, I need a real web browser. So right now, LibreWolf here. That's what I've been running mainly. I've got Brave installed too on the system. I sometimes play in Brave. Looks like Joshua, his current window manager is EXWM inside Emacs. So a good choice. Lots of distro talk. See, a lot of you guys love OpenSUSE, some Debian plus Fluxbox. Of course, a lot of Arch talk as well. It's hard for me to get away from the Arch base because of the AUR, because of all the software. You know, I would have a hard time getting away from Arch, just because I don't like having to go build things from source and compiling things from source. And, you know, there's no other distro that comes close as far as software availability like Arch. There just isn't. Debian comes kind of close, but problem with Debian, well, I guess I could run Debian Unstable, Debian SID, which is their rolling release branch, but most people, if you're going to run Debian, you're going to run Debian Stable, and eventually that thing starts getting kind of old. You'll want fresher packages that aren't in the repos. You're going to have to start compiling stuff from source for that, and I just don't like doing that. That's why I don't run source-based distros. If I wanted to compile stuff from source, right, I'd be running Gentoo. But you know, I don't like compiling stuff from source. It's a waste of my time. Just give me pre-built binaries for everything. Of course, these days with snaps and flatpaks and app images, a lot of this stuff is getting to the point where it's not that often now you have to go and find something and build it from source, because a lot of devs these days, if they're developing a piece of software for Linux, they probably are going to package it in at least one of those distro agnostic formats: app image, flatpak, snap. Yeah, Kropotkin says, DT promised to run Rat Poison for a year if he hit 100K. I don't think I ever promised to run Rat Poison. Ever. Even if I hit 1 million, I wouldn't run Rat Poison. Bob Grimes, I learned Xmonad from watching DT's tutorials. Congratulations, Bob, on learning Xmonad. The best window manager ever, right? Of course, that's what I'm in today, too. This is Xmonad. And let's open up a terminal. And one of the things I spent some time today was working on my Gemini site, my Gemini capsule over at Gemini://distro.tube. And this is my Gemini site inside the Amphora terminal Gemini client. One of the things that took me forever, I wanted to have all of my videos listed on my Gemini capsule. And you see these links down here, links 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of my videos from specific years, because I organized it by year. So if I go to number 12 here, so let me hit spacebar and type 12 and hit enter. You know, this is a list of all the videos that I have done so far in 2021. Now, this was a very hard list to get to actually work right, because I mean, most years I'm making a couple hundred videos. So like in 2018, you know, this list is wow, nearly 300 videos in 2018. I was a busy boy in 2018, but I had to go and grab all of these library links, and this thing took forever, because what I had to go do is go to my library page at library.tv and scroll down. And it's one of those pages where you can just scroll down and it keeps, you know, populating it with more and more search results. So I kept scrolling down until I got all 874 videos or whatever it is I've made and published to library on a single HTML page. And I saved the source code for that. That one HTML page with all those videos and all the whiz-bang stuff that goes on the library.tv page, you know, my channel page, was over 1 megabyte in size, more than 1 million characters for that HTML file. And I had to whittle that down to get something like this. You know, all the extra HTML tags and JavaScript and all the crap that was embedded in that page, you know, more than 1 million characters. I had to get down to, I don't know, a few thousand characters, right? And I had to get really, really creative with some Vim macros. And let me tell you, when you run a complicated Vim macro on a text document that is more than 1 megabyte in size, those macros take forever. I ran a macro and it started working on this very large page, and I could tell Vim was struggling. It was starting to want to crap out on me. I was kind of afraid it was going to lock up my computer trying to do too much. Anyway, I went, grabbed some dinner, came back like an hour later. That macro is still working, and finally it finished, and it got everything into a format that I could work with and eventually publish, of course, to the Gemini capsule here at distro.tube. I know a lot of you guys were interested in Gemini after the video I made the other day. I know a lot of you guys are making Gemini capsules because some of you guys have messaged me about yours. So very cool. All right. Thanks for the super chat. I got a super chat from Arch5530. He says, congrats, DT. Let me buy you a beer. So today, we're just going with a standard Newcastle. I hadn't had a Newcastle in a while. Normally, I don't like drinking before about 9 o'clock in the evening, but since we were streaming early, and it wouldn't be one of these streams without a beer, you know, I made an exception just for today. But I really need to cut back. Actually, I've cut back a lot on the beer. Really, I was supposed to be on a diet. You know, everybody does a New Year's resolution, and I was trying to watch the diet a little bit here for 2021. All right. Tried HTTP alternatives and still don't think it's useful unless they evolve to the UX level of HTTP. Well, that's your opinion, right? What you find useful, I don't find useful at all. Right? That's one of the things I got a lot of people on that thing. It's like, man, how would you build a YouTube site, a site like YouTube as a Gemini capsule? You wouldn't. That's the point. That's the point of Gemini, is to prevent people from building something like YouTube, right? I mean, you could build a site that has videos, right? But those videos, when you clicked on the video link, it would have to open up in a video player. You couldn't have embedded video, right? That's not what Gemini does. That's not what Gopher does. That's not what a lot of those smaller web protocols do. Are you streaming on Gemini? I don't think Gemini would handle streaming. Let's see, Ardash. I tried DWM, but I can't seem to find a more efficient way to have patches and custom tweaks. There's really nothing you can do about the patching. I mean, you have to patch it, and patching it, you can either do the automatic patching in the terminal, or you can manually go in there and patch the things, you know, find the lines you need to add, find the lines you need to delete. You can also patch it using Git, different Git branches, and merging them. But that's not any better really than just doing the standard patch command in the terminal, because sometimes you're going to find conflicts merging different Git branches. It's just tedious, right? The DWM, the Suckless patching in general, for all the Suckless software, it's tedious. There's nothing you can do to get around it, unfortunately. So if it's bothering you, the only thing I would suggest is maybe check out some other window managers. That frustrates you to that level. You know, just there's plenty of other window managers out there. Window managers that are as good or better than DWM anyway. It's not like DWM is something special. Yeah, it's just another tiling window manager. I've got 15 of them installed on my system right now. DWM is just another tiling window manager. All right. DT is not bold. I can be bold, but I'm definitely not bald. And that was from Zed. Leviticus, beer diet for the win. Yeah, the liquid diet, huh? Noel says, no need to diet. You look cut. No, I could stand to lose a few pounds. Although the thumbnail that I did earlier today, you know, where I was showing off my six-pack abs, you know, my abs were looking good in that photo with the 5 girls and the bikinis. Before YouTube decided that was an inappropriate photo. Yeah, most people want more than just text in their internet. Well, that's because most people think that's the way the web has always been, and that's what they want. Right? People want what they know. Yeah, but Gemini's never going to become, you know, a replacement for the web, because you're always going to, yeah, it's like people are never going to leave Facebook. People are never going to leave, you know, Twitter and all these other evil things that you can't convince the masses to get away from things that they probably should get away from. That's not what alternatives like, you know, things like library, for example, trying to get people to move from YouTube to library. Some people will go to library, but will it ever be YouTube? Probably not. Will Mastodon ever be Twitter? Probably not. Will Gemini ever be the web? Probably not. But, I mean, don't discount that there's those of us that will use those services and be fine being the small little niche we are, right? We're just that small group of non-conformists out there that will always try to be different, I guess, right? And that's good. You know, you need somebody out there where everybody else is going left, you want to be going right, right? That's what you need to do. If everybody's all going in the same direction, you know, that's never a good thing. Yeah, MJDXP says, I kind of wish Gemini had image support. Now, because anybody can make a Gemini client, I guess if you had a link to an image file, you know, because you know what the link extensions are, JPEG, PNG, or whatever. I'm assuming somebody could make like a graphical client that could display an inline image for Gemini. Even though that's not what the protocol necessarily supports, that's not stopping somebody from actually putting that in place. Because people did that for Gopher. I mean, you could create a Gopher client to display an image if you really wanted to, but that's not really, not something that the protocol necessarily supports. Video would be a little trickier, but that's the same thing. You know, if somebody linked to it, an MPEG or MKV or whatever the file format, you know, it's a video file. I guess they could find a way to embed that, you know, with some kind of video player inside their Gemini client. I'm sure people will do that, but at the same time, it kind of detracts away from what Gemini is. Yeah, can I use Suckless and i3WM? I'm sure. What Suckless programs are you wanting to use? You can use all of them in i3, right? Install dmenu and ST and the surf browser and all that stuff. Try them out, play with them. I imagine most people that run a tiling window manager for sure probably use dmenu. Most of them probably have dmenu installed. So most of you guys that are running a standalone window manager probably already have at least one Suckless program, dmenu, installed on your system. You may not have known it was a Suckless program. You probably have never patched it. You just use it out of the box as it was given to you from your package manager, you know, installing it from Pacman and Arch, for example. And dmenu is interesting because it's probably the only Suckless program that actually works without patching. Like, I can just use plain dmenu without patching it, but I like patching it because I like adding color and stuff to it. Yeah, Google is trying to kill Chromium. I mean, Chromium's always been kind of dead to me anyway. I've never been a Chrome user. You guys know I've always been a Firefox person, so never really played with any of the Chrome/Chromium browsers, other than Brave and Qt browser. Well, when I first started trying to play with Qt browser a little bit, though, they were still using, I think, WebKit. But a couple of 2-3 years ago, they switched over to the Chromium engine. Although I think with Qt browser, if you still wanted to use WebKit, I think you can compile Qt browser yourself to still use WebKit if you didn't want to use the Chromium engine, but I don't know why you would want to, honestly. WebKit browsers typically aren't very good. Surf, not very good. I've tried to make surf work, and it's a chore. DT, what brand of beer do you drink? I drink something different every time I go to the store. I never drink, the same brand. I like trying new things. DT, why do you choose dmenu over something like Rofi? If they're similar, but are there any difference that's important? No, but most of these tiling window managers, because dmenu is kind of the most popular run launcher out there, many of them have dmenu hard-coded in their example configs, so it just helps to already have dmenu on the system. Even if you wanted to use Rofi, I'd suggest keeping dmenu installed, just in case. But if you like Rofi, yeah, I mean, Rofi's similar. Yeah, MGDXP. I've used Qt Browser a bit and absolutely loved it, but I rely on too many extensions to really switch to it. Yeah, that's the one downside to Qt Browser is the extension system. DT, try German beers sometime. I've had a million German beers. I've had beers from all over the world. I'm a beer connoisseur, so you don't worry about that. I've had plenty of German beer. Hey DT, would you advise running polybar over Xmobar and Xmonad? Not necessarily, no. You could, but it's honestly probably easier to set up Xmobar than polybar with Xmonad. Polybar really wasn't designed to work with Xmonad, and it's kind of hard to get it to display all the information that Xmobar displays. Because Xmobar, especially if you don't have a multi-monitor system, you may not realize what all Xmobar does. It displays all of your workspaces. It also displays all your workspaces depending on, I have 3 monitors. Everything that is highlighted in green is currently a workspace that is being displayed on one of my 3 monitors. The workspace that is green and has the brackets around it is the workspace I'm currently on, which is this workspace right here that you guys are viewing with me. All the workspaces in purple are the workspaces that are not displayed on one of my 3 monitors right now. But if I go to one of those, let's go to workspace 3. I'm going to open up a couple of terminals. Now I'm going to go back to workspace 2. Now, instead of being purple, it is blue with an asterisk beside it, letting me know that, hey, that workspace is not on one of my monitors being displayed right now, but it does have something on it. That's what the asterisks, well, what I set the asterisks to designate. It's like, hey, there's a program over on that workspace that you're not actually viewing. So do you want to go check out that workspace and kill that stuff and go back? Polybar doesn't really do all of that with the workspaces because it's I don't know, it's tough to get polybar to show all that. Also the layouts, the current layouts you're on, and Xmonad. Xmonad is a bit of a different kind of window manager, and polybar was probably, I mean, whoever designed it was, even though it's supposed to be window manager agnostic, you could use it with any window manager. But what do most polybar users use polybar with? i3, of course, right? It's the most popular tiling window manager probably still. And it's kind of built to be used with i3 and BSPWM. Every BSPWM user I know uses polybar, so you gotta do some hacking on polybar to make it work with Xmonad. It's probably not worth it for you. Because at the end of the day, it's just a panel displaying some information anyway. And if you're going to have to fight with it to get it to display all the stuff that Xmobar displays, why not just use Xmobar? You already got Haskell installed anyway if you're using Xmonad. It's not like installing Xmobar installs any dependencies or anything. Yeah. Wait, you use fish? Yikes, this isn't a good look. The shell? Of course I use fish. Why wouldn't I use fish? It's the best shell. Like, you can't deny it, right? Fish is the best shell. Actually, if I did an echo shell, my default shell is bash. The default user shell. How I'm getting fish, though, here is my key binding to launch my terminals, you know, with super enter here in Xmonad, is actually this command here, alacrity space -e fish. That is what that key binding does. So super enter just launches fish inside the alacrity terminal. And the reason I do that is because I still want my user's default shell to be bash, just because I have less problems on the system if the default shell stays as bash, which there's no reason to switch from bash for your default shell, because there are some badly written scripts out there where they don't specifically specify bash in the shebang. They just specify sh, right? Meaning, hey, run this with the default shell on the system. And if I have the default shell set to fish, and then they're using all these bashisms in this sh file, the shell's not going to work. So, or the script is not going to work. So you're going to have scripts that break on you. So leave your default shell as bash, but just have a key binding, or however it is you open your terminal, or just those of you that have terminals that allow you to set certain preferences in your terminals, make sure you always have it set to run fish as soon as you open your terminal. If you really wanted to do it in a hacky way, you could actually leave bash as your default shell, and in your bash RC, have your bash RC automatically run fish every time you launch bash. That's kind of hacky, though. I don't suggest that. What I do is what I suggest, just having a key binding where anytime you hit your key binding to open a terminal, it actually opens the fish shell inside your terminal. Having fish in your bash RC like it is given in the Arch Wiki is cool. It starts up fish. Yep. Again, you can do that. I just think it's a little hacky, you know, because you're launching bash to launch fish. And somebody's given the change shell command to switch your system shell over to /bin/fish. You can do that, but don't be surprised if it gives you some problems. Again, I strongly suggest just leaving your default shell as bash. That's what most Linux distributions have set as the default shell on the system is bash. Just leave it as bash. Ubuntu is a little different. Ubuntu's default shell is dash with a D. And if you're on Ubuntu, I suggest leaving that as the default shell, even if you plan on using fish. Yeah, are you still learning Haskell? It's not something that I'm just diving really deep into or anything. I'm not a programmer, right? It's not like I don't have a job programming or anything. So, yeah, I wouldn't say. I mean, every now and then I play around a little bit more with Haskell than usually in my Xmonad configs and things like that. Yeah, Garuda uses the fish shell. Yeah, I don't think they have it set as their system shell either. I could be wrong about that, but I might have checked that when I can't remember on that video I did about Garuda. If you're running Garuda though, just in the shell, do an echo and then $symbol and then all caps shell, and that should spit out what the default shell for that user is, your home user, if you happen to be logged in as your home user. Yeah, all the shells are pretty decent, honestly, but Bash, CSH, and Fish are the most loved from what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's from Chaos Fang. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's other shells out there, but Bash, ZSH, and Fish are the common ones that you're going to see. There's other things out there. There's the KSH, the corn shell. There's the C shell, CSH. There's Conch, which is XONSH. It's not really, it's kind of like beta software. It's a Python-like shell. There's the new shell, which is kind of like a Linux PowerShell, right? It's not really PowerShell, but it does some PowerShell-like stuff. I mean, there's some other shells out there, but the ones that people are actually going to spend time in all the time, you know, like this is my shell, Bash, ZSH, or Fish. Yeah, Samuel says the fish plus the starship prompt just works for me. Don't think I'll be switching anytime soon. Yeah, I'm happy with the starship prompt too. It saves me from having to do anything with Oh My Fish plugins or Oh My ZSH plugins if I was using ZSH, because the starship prompt works in ZSH too, works in Bash. That's another thing, because it's cross-shell compatible. I can have the same prompt in all three shells. You know, if I have all three shells on my system, and I do. So this is fish, and that's the starship prompt. Let me zoom in. Let me CD into a directory that's going to give me some Git information. So we get a Git status there on my wallpapers directory. So this is fish. Let me CD over, or let me change over to ZSH. And, you know, the prompt is exactly the same. Let me switch over to Bash, and the prompt is exactly the same. Right? There's no way really for me to tell what shell I'm in. Like, they look at exactly the same. I kind of like that. Of course, the downside for some people would be you want to know, you know, when you're in ZSH, you want to know when you're in Bash. But for me, I always know which one I'm in. I'm always in fish unless I specifically switch over to Bash for something. Which does happen. Sometimes I want to do like just some quick one-line scripting, you know, with the shell scripting. And I still know all the Bash syntax, right? I make mistakes trying to do things with the fish syntax because I'm still trying to put dollar symbols in some of the statements and things like that that fish just doesn't like. Have you ever used the power level 10 prompt? And that's a ZSH prompt. I have, actually. I made a video, I think, about power level 10 early on in the channel's history. Oh. Hero says, congrats for the 100K. Appreciate that, Hero. Thank you, buddy. Mitchell Valentino, how you doing, sir? He sends us a super chat, and he also congrats on the 100K. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, the power level 10K that somebody was asking about. Let me see. I think I made a video about it. Changing your default shell. No, I don't think I did anything with power level 10K for that. I know I've discussed it on video, but I may not have made a video specifically about power level 10K. But I have shown it in some of my older videos because I did use it on some distros that had ZSH as their default shell. I think Manjaro. Didn't Manjaro have ZSH as the default shell? I just left ZSH as the default. And I used the power level 10K font for that. Yeah, looking back here, you know what? Since we're marking a milestone here, 100K subscribers, let's sort by oldest videos. My very first video, Manjaro Linux KDE, first impression. That was a horrible video, crappy webcam, horrible microphone. That was just me making a video just to make a video, right? At the time, I had no plans of really having a YouTube channel. I mean, I had a YouTube channel, created a name and a logo, and made a video. But it was mainly just a experiment, right? It's a proof of concept. Thanks for the super chat there, Josh. Let me show this on screen so you guys can see this. Josh writes, we'll pay you $495 more if you grow your hair out, half up front. I mean, my hair is already kind of long. I didn't shave, at least not in the last couple of days. By the way, obviously I'm not bald. There's no bald spots anywhere on that head. Just saying. I just don't think I could grow hair. I mean, I could grow hair out, but you guys are going to want to see like flowing locks of hair. I'm not going to grow anything past, you know, a couple of inches long, you know. I'm not about to look like a hippie. We're not having anything that can be put in a ponytail. We're not doing dreadlocks. We're not doing any of that. Yeah, Muhammad, congratulations on the 100K. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. You look much cooler now than within your YouTube front page, but we are not here for your looks, so don't get the wrong intentions, okay? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, looking back on some videos here. Let's see some of the more interesting videos. Actually, to see some of the more interesting videos, we should search by the most popular videos, because typically those are the ones that generated the most interest. Not surprisingly, a lot of the videos that have some of the most interest revolve around things like Arch Linux. You know, my Arch Linux install videos, a lot of Vim stuff is pretty popular. The tiling window manager stuff is pretty popular. But every now and then, you know, something pops out, like switching to i3 day one. That was my first time ever using i3. I switched to i3 for 30 days, and it was an okay window manager, but it wasn't something I liked. And, you know, these are not particularly great videos. You know, my very first impressions of i3, it's not like I really liked i3. And a lot of people probably were wanting me to like i3, and I kind of trashed it a little bit. But for some reason, that's a popular video. I don't know why. Because it's, you know, of all the tiling window managers I've tried, i3 might be one of my least favorite. I mean, it's not as bad as Stump WM or, you know, things like that. But it ain't, there's nothing special with it. Dreaming Wolf, thanks for the super chat, sir. Appreciate that. You didn't leave a question or a comment? If you leave something, I'll try to, oh, it looks like you left it right after the super chat. Thanks for all you do, DT. Thank you. Thank you. And Josh at Keep It Techie. How you doing, Josh? Congrats. Salute. Thank you, sir. Of course, for those of you not checking out Keep It Techie, make sure you check out Josh at Keep It Techie on YouTube. He's got a great channel. See, DT, how do I do a correct installation of dotfiles? Well, if you got your dotfiles saved somewhere, how do you do a correct installation of them? You just put them in the right directories. That's it. There's hopefully when you put them like in a GitHub or a GitLab repository, keep the same directory structure. That's what I do. So let me demonstrate this here. I'm going to go to my GitLab. In my GitLab, I have a .files repository. And imagine this is my home directory. You're going to see all of these directories in my home directory. All these files are in my home directory. My .config file in my home directory, let me go inside it. There's all the folders that should be in my .config file in my home directory. Just put them all in the same place. Really, when I clone this entire .files repository, yeah, I just go in and just throw all the files where they should be, because the way I saved them in the correct path. I just need to make sure, you know, when I do a copy and paste or drag them, you know, from one file manager window to another file manager window, that I just put them in the right directories. That's all you need to do. Really easy. Like I could clone this .files repository and put everything back in the right place in a couple of minutes. It's not time consuming, so there's really nothing tricky about it. Yeah, Mustafa says Arch is the best ever, hands down, unless you just can't RTFD. RTFD? I think you mean RTFM. Why don't you RTFM? Sepulchi. Thanks for the super chat. He says, thanks for the great content. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. And Joel, I've been watching since nearly the beginning, and it's been awesome watching your channel grow. Congrats on the 100K, man. Oh, yeah. A lot of you guys I've mentioned that too. So some of you guys have been around since the absolute very beginning. Which, yeah, obviously things have changed, right? It's been 3 years and 4 months, 3 years, 5 months, something like that. I started at the very end of 2017. So really the channel, 2018, 2019, 2020. It's been 3 years and then, 1 month in 2020. So, and we did, I think, November, December 2017. So 3 years and 3 months. But we did a lot of videos in that time, nearly 900 videos now, and learned a lot. It's one of those things. So many things in life are like that, though. You can't just learn something. You can't read a book on something and learn everything about it. You just got to do it. Sometimes you got to do it a lot before you really know it. Making videos is kind of like that. A lot of trial and error. It's one of the things that, I'm not afraid to try different things. Sometimes that's one of the things, I like experiment with different kinds of titles and thumbnails, and I don't do a lot of testing, but every now and then I like to change things up just to see how it works, see how I like it. Content of the channel. It's always been Linuxy content, but sometimes interests change, Make a lot of videos about Vim. I get tired of Vim. Move on to Emacs, right? Make a lot of videos about tiling window managers, but at some point I run out of tiling window managers to talk about. Let's talk about alternative internet protocols like Gemini. Of course, in the early days of the channel, we did a lot more taking a look at different Linux distributions, distro review kind of videos. I don't particularly like doing those kinds of videos, but a lot of the people that watch my content like me doing those kinds of videos. Typically, and to this day, I still try to do a couple of those kinds of videos every month. I try to make myself do them. and some of you guys look forward to those videos. And honestly, some of them are interesting to me. These days, though, I try to avoid like the popular stuff. Like, do I really need to take a look at Ubuntu and Mint and Fedora? Now, I'll take a look at big releases, of course, because that's a big deal. But you're never just going to see me randomly make a video about Ubuntu, unless it's, Ubuntu release day. You guys know what Ubuntu looks like, right? I'm going to do videos about Garuda and Geeks, NixOS, stuff that maybe not everybody has heard of, but maybe more people need to know about. Mr. GFY. Congrats, DT. Thank you, sir. Long time no see, Mr. GFY. Glad you made it, though. Yeah, Brandon was talking about Stow for your dotfiles. Yeah, you can use, is it a GNU program, GNU Stow? Honestly, if you just do a git bear repository, or make your home directory, your user's home directory, a git bear repository, you don't have to worry about things like GNU Stow or any of those dot file management kind of programs. Yeah, I am the arm says, oh, my guy got 100K. You deserve more than that. Your channel's been my go-to since I switched to Linux. Your videos are helpful. Cheers. Oh, cheers. Way ahead of you. Cheers. Forgot about my Newcastle. It's starting to get warm. Any good sites on Gemini? So Gemini is a rather newish protocol. There's probably not a ton of Gemini sites out there. It probably numbers in the thousands as far as the total Gemini space. But we're at the beginning of it. More and more people, the more people promote it, people like me, for example, the more stuff will be on Gemini. I imagine it would be so easy just to convert people's Gopher holes over to Gemini. Eventually, you're going to see a lot of the people that have just been waiting for Gopher to finally catch on again. But Gopher is old, crusty. It's really dead. If you have a Gopher site, really just move to Gemini, because that's where you need to be these days. It's just better. For one thing, Gopher, because I had my own Gopher server until I made the Gemini server a couple of days ago. I wiped out my Gopher server. The Gopher server, as far as the daemon that was serving up my Gopher pages, was a program called PyGopherD. That program had not had a commit in 20 years, right? That's how long Gopher has been dead. They haven't had a commit in 20 years. It was probably dead even 20 years ago. It's actually been dead Gopher has been dead for about 25 years. That was 1995, 96 when the web caught on. Got a super chat here from Tiago. He says, man, how do you feel being one of the most important Linux distro channel nowadays? Hi from Brazil. People from here love you. I love all my Brazilian viewers as well. Thank you, Tiago. How do I feel about being one of the most important Linux distro channels nowadays? I don't know. We're not that important. I mean, at the end of the day, 100K subscribers on YouTube, that's a nice milestone, but 100K in the grand scheme of things on YouTube, I'm insignificant, right? It's an insignificant channel. It's a tiny channel compared to those that have millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions in some cases. Of course, part of the problem, Linux may not be the sexiest of topics, but we're changing that. Linux is slowly catching on. Open source is slowly catching on. Free software, having me and others, and all the other people that do Linux-related content, video content especially, it's starting to penetrate people's minds. It's starting to penetrate the zeitgeist out there. People are talking about Linux. People are talking about free and open source software. And that makes me happy. You're asking how I feel. I feel proud about that. There's a lot of things I do feel proud about as far as the content I've made. I feel really proud that there are thousands and thousands of people out there that have found Qtile, for example, because of some of the videos I've done. Nobody would have heard of that particular tiling window manager. Here lately, I've turned a lot more people back on to things like Xmonad, which has kind of waned in popularity. But, still a lot of people know Xmonad because it's a Haskell program. The Haskell community's rather fervent. Here lately, we've been getting a lot more people giving things like Emacs a shot. People, just regular desktop Linux users that thought Emacs was something way beyond their capabilities, they're giving it a shot. Just because they see me, This Swamp Billy from Louisiana that doesn't work in IT, right? If I can do all this, you guys can do all of this. It's not that hard. If it was hard, I couldn't do it. Josh gave us another super chat here. Is removing Yast and Zipper for DNF and OpenSUSE me being silly or me making my distro my own? I don't know OpenSUSE specifically, because I've never run OpenSUSE, but I can tell you that other distros that I have run, they specifically tell you never swap out the package manager that ships with it by default with another. I don't know how OpenSUSE handles that with Zipper and DNF. For example, I know in Arch, you can swap out Pacman for apt, or for XBPS, the void package manager. But if you read the Arch wiki pages for apt and XBPS, it actually tells you there's a warning. Hey, you can install this. Don't do it. It's going to break your system. But here's the page. We'll tell you how to do it. So yeah, I don't know if I would do that. Not on a production machine. If you got something you're just playing around with, a VM or test equipment, yeah, why not? But if it's like a real workstation, yeah, I wouldn't trust something like that. Yeah, OTB, old tech bloke. Hey DT, congrats. Us bald guys got to stick together. Well, Steve, I don't know if you may have just arrived, but earlier I demonstrated. I haven't shaved in a couple of days. There's no bald spots on this head. Yes, it's cut short, but it's not bald. DT is not bald. For those of you that are not subscribed to the Old Tech Bloke channel, make sure you guys check out Steve over at OTB. He also has a great Linuxy YouTube channel. Yeah, Paul was asking, when can we see the next scariest movie? So my movie trailers, those are always fun, but let's wait for Halloween. I don't know, if something else comes up, every now and then I like to do, those goofy kind of videos. They're just something different. They break the monotony of all of this. Kind of like my public service announcement videos sometimes I do, where it's just me narrating and, maybe a slideshow with some music. Stuff like that's always fun to do every now and then. Another super chat here from Pedro. He's, congrats on the 100K DT. I'm from Paraguay and your videos are helping me a lot. Enjoy the beer, mister. You deserve it. Thank you. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate that. Yeah, Unscientific Dork. Love the username. I fell in love with Qtile because of DT. If it was not for DT, I would still be in i3. Well, I'm glad I rescued you from i3. i3 isn't that bad, but yeah, Qtile. Qtile's fantastic. Yeah, Trey says, knew your accent sounded familiar, LOL, from Louisiana as well. Congrats on the 100K. Thank you. There needs to be a DT is not bald t-shirt. I've actually thought about it. Other people have suggested that too. They want some DT is not bald gear. Maybe one day we'll give it to them. Looking at some of the popular videos, once we get past some of the tiling window manager, Vim, Emacs stuff, Arch installations, the Alacrity terminal. Now that's another one I'm very proud of. That so many people actually, like everywhere I go now, anytime I see other Linux YouTubers open up a terminal, they're all running Alacrity with the fish shell. All of them. And that's great because I love Alacrity. Like my enthusiasm about Alacrity in that video I did a little over a year ago was genuine. I thought that thing was the best terminal emulator because so many others, they're okay, but you always find something lacking, something that just bugs the hell out of you. With Xterm and URXVT and Termite and ST, all great terminal emulators that I've used in the past. But as soon as I switched to Alacrity, I was like, yeah, I'm never switching to anything else. Like it's perfect. It has everything I want, nothing I don't want, and it's blazing fast. So one of the videos I was really happy about. Yeah, and there's the fish shell video. So a couple of popular videos there. The Alacrity terminal, fish is a better shell. We're getting into some older stuff. Manjaro i3. Yeah, the i3 videos. Again, even though I don't like i3, a lot of people are interested in my videos about i3. And I've never really looked really deeply into i3 because it's not something I enjoy playing around with too much. But I guess I need to spend more time playing around with i3 since some of you guys are interested in it. I mean, I've only ever used i3 like full time as my main window manager for like 30 days. That's all I've ever used it for, was 1 month. Looking at some of the other stuff. Yeah, people really like that Arch Linux as the ideal beginner's distro video. Especially with the old couple looking at the laptop with the Arch logo and smiling. That was a great thumbnail. That was a fun video to make too, because I really think Arch can be a good beginner distro for the right person, not for everybody. Not for somebody that doesn't care about their computer, how it works or anything, but a lot of people do actually care about, some of what's going on underneath the hood. And for those people, yeah, Arch isn't that hard to get installed. All they got to do is watch a DT Arch installation video and they'll get it done. There's my Gopher video. Of course, we're now, of course, already on the Gemini protocol, so no more Gopher. I'm starting with this video or the last video, I've now replaced my Gopher links, in the show descriptions to actually be an address for my Gemini capsule now. Let's see, Charles, do you use the Ubuntu Mono font? Sometimes. Some of the tiling window manager configs that I have on my GitLab, some of them use Ubuntu Mono. I like that font. Some of them use Mononoke Nerd font. Some of them use Source Code Pro, which is an open source version of Source Code Pro. It's a proprietary font. Let's see. Harrison says, congrats. Thank you. Zed Robot, I use ST. ST is a fine terminal. Kawan says, cheers from Brazil. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. I don't know. It could be man or woman. Kenny, you, sir, are solely responsible for my swap to full-time Linux. Thank you, and congrats. Thank you, Kenny. Yeah, Arno says, I actually learned some of awesome window manager capabilities by watching your Xmonad videos. That's another thing I've tried to tell people. Is, you know, some of my window manager videos, like especially in the early days, not so much now. I think some of you guys have started to catch on to it, but used to, when I'd make a video, you know, like a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to make a whole bunch of videos really detailing the Qtile window manager, you know, getting the bar set up, the layouts, your workspaces. You know, I made all these Qtile videos, and people were like, hey man, these videos, they're cool and all, but I use Awesome, I use i3, I use BSPWM. And in these videos, in several of these videos, I tell you guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what window manager you're using. You can find useful information in a video about Qtile if you use Xmonad. Or you can watch some of my Xmonad videos and find something you can use in BSPWM. Even though, you know, it's different config files and different things I'm playing around with, watching me hack on one of these will probably help you hack on the window manager that you're actually using. In many ways, they all act kind of the same. Darsh says, DT, would you consider doing another collab stream with Luke Smith again? Sure. I don't mind collabing with anybody. I mean, I've appeared on plenty of other people's shows, so I'm not a hard guy to find, so pretty easy to catch up with. Let's see, Zoltar, congrats. Greetings from Poland. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. Robo Nuggy, another super chat here. Let's see, show you guys here on screen. Okay. 100K, about time. Nicely done. Thank you, sir. Those of you that are not subscribed to Robo Nuggy, make sure you check out his channel. He's got some great BSD content. Because so many of you guys, I mean, I've done one or two videos about various BSDs. I've done a few BSD videos, but it's not something I live in. It's not, I don't want to run BSD on my main production machine or anything like that. But you guys are looking for more detailed stuff about FreeBSD, for example. Go check out Robo Nuggy. That is the BSD channel you guys need to be subscribed to. Even if you run Linux, go subscribe to Robo Nuggy. It's kind of like the tiling window managers. You know, just because you watch a tiling window manager video about Xmonad and you use i3, you're probably going to learn something anyway. Same thing with watching a video about BSD. Probably going to learn some stuff that you can use in your Linux distribution as well. Let's see. DT, any Rust window managers? There's a couple out there. People have asked me about them. And there was one people bugged me about. I think it was Left WM. I tried to install it 2-3 months back, and I couldn't get it to compile correctly on my Arch system. So with these things, you know, just if I fight with them and I can't get them to work correctly, there's no reason for me to make a video about them. Or if I kind of get it to half-ass work, I don't want to make a video about it because it's not going to be a good video. I'm just going to trash the project anyway. So typically, I'm going to wait for these things to get to the point where I can install them and they actually work right before I actually, you know, show them on camera. Because occasionally, you know, you guys will bug the crap out of me about something forever. And it get to the point where, man, I finally need to make a video about this piece of software I didn't want to take a look at anyway. And then I'll finally take a look at it. And then I just trash it. Because I already don't want to take a look at it. And then sometimes there's stuff wrong with it anyway. And yeah, I don't like doing videos about pieces of software that are not ready for prime time. I don't want to be one of those people that trashes somebody's work on free and open source software, even if it doesn't work correctly. I want to have more respect for the people that work on free and open source software than doing something like that. Back to the chat here. Give me just a second to find my spot in the chat here. Still have about 240 folks here in the chat. Sorry if I missed some of the questions and comments. Obviously, we got a lot of chat here today. DT, ever thought of traveling for videos? Oh, like going on location somewhere? Yeah, I've thought about that. No current plans to do anything, but yes, I've thought about that. I've thought about doing every different kind of video format there is. They've all run through my head at some point, whether I'll actually get around to doing them or if it's something I want to do. But yeah, again, I'm not averse to occasionally doing something completely different. Different kind of format that I've never done before. I don't mind doing that, right? I don't mind taking chances. DT, what did you study? Sysadmin engineering? Nope, nothing like that. Music. All of my degrees are in music. Trombone is my main instrument, but it's put up in a case somewhere. I'd have to spend a couple minutes to put it together. We'll just deal with the recorder today. Recorder, right? It's what I went to school for like 9-10 years. Worked on a PhD for a little while, never finished it. Should we grab the trombone? I wish I had a keyboard or, electric piano for these things. If I had a music channel, right? Maybe I should start a second music-related channel. Which some of you guys have asked me about that every time I do one of these streams and we start talking about music or I start playing some of these instruments. Man, you should start a second channel where you discuss things like classical music and things like that, because sometimes we get into some deep discussions about music on these live streams. And I've thought about it, but it's like, do I really have time for a second channel? I barely have time for this one. Like, when am I gonna find time to work on a second channel too? That's too much. Every now and then, if I want to talk about music, we'll just start a live stream on my Linux channel. And damn it, I'm going to talk about music. Yeah, and people are, several of you, what, music? You don't seem like that type of guy. Yeah, for those of you that are kind of new to the channel, haven't seen some of these live streams, yes. Got a bachelor's and a master's degree in music performance. Worked a little bit on a doctorate. Didn't finish it. Don't think, of course, I know I'm not going to finish it now. I'm in my mid-40s, and I'm not interested in spending money on finishing that PhD, because I wouldn't do anything with it anyway. I would just be trying to finish it just to finish it. I don't plan on ever doing anything with my music degree. I mean, I've done some teaching years ago. Occasionally, I'll do some private teaching. I don't mind taking a private student, on trombone, for example, because I've got some pretty serious trombone skills, obviously, that being my main instrument. And, doing some private lessons occasionally does help me keep in shape. Yeah, maybe a music channel for 500K. Yeah, people are asking Bach, Ravel, Offenbach, or Debussy. Debussy all the way. I can get down with some Debussy as far as, just listening to the music. I love Debussy's music. Yeah, does DT play the guitar? No, he does not. Always wanted to, but no. Do not know the guitar. or any stringed instrument. I have mentioned this because I always get these questions. I don't know any of the stringed instruments, so no violin or cello or guitar. So I've always been interested in them, just never got around to learning them. Mainly the wind instruments, right? Anything, all the brass instruments for sure. Some, some of the woodwind instruments, harmonica, anything that just requires me blowing and, moving some fingers or a slide. Yeah, we can handle that. So once you've played one, picking up the next one and learning it, it's kind of easy. It's kind of like that way with the string instruments, though. You learn how to play guitar, learning how to play the banjo. It's not that different. If you learn how to play the violin, learning the viola or the cello, it's not that different. Let's see. We got some more DT questions here. I've been going for a little over an hour. I was going to go for an hour. I didn't want this stream to run too long because I do want this stream to auto sync to library. So we'll make it an hour and 15 minutes. We'll go another 10 minutes. So we'll stop at 15 after the hour here. Yeah, the alternative is asking, DT, are you able to stream on library.tv also? I have not tried streaming on library. I've heard that they were either working on it or now they've actually got it. I haven't tried it out though. But that's one of the things that was really preventing library from being YouTube, is you couldn't live stream on it. Yeah, Josh, I can see it now. DistroTunes, the music channel. I like that name. I'm going to write that down. DistroTunes. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of weird. DistroTunes. What, Linux tunes? I guess. We can just play the free software song all day long. DT, react to the Pocklebell rant by Rob Paravonian. I don't know what the Pocklebell rant is, or who Rob Paravonian is. I'll have to check that out after the stream. DT, can you play the Bluebells of Scotland on the trombone? Of course. I've played several Arthur Pryor pieces on the trombone. They're great little show-off pieces that are really fast and virtuosic. Great for ending recitals with, because they're crowd pleasers. They're fun little pieces. I don't have my trombone out, and I hadn't played the Bluebells in a while. I'm not in shape anyway. It'd take me a couple weeks of serious playing to get back into shape, but let's see. I can play you another Arthur Pryor piece similar to the Bluebells. Let's see. Give me just a second here. Here is an Arthur Pryor piece called The Patriot. Give me just a second here. Gonna have to pull up Pulse Audio volume control to get this to work. And it's not working. Well, I was gonna give you a quick clip of me playing, but we may not be able to get that. There we go. I'll use MPV to play it. Well, this is DT on the trombone. This was my master's recital. This was the last piece. This is The Patriot by Arthur Pryor. But yeah, I've played the Bluebells, Thoughts of Love, Annie Laurie. There's a ton of good Arthur Pryor pieces. Ooh. All right. Of course, there was some clapping and some stuff at the end I cut out. So it was a live performance in front of an audience. Of course, it was live. That's why there were some mistakes in it, right? All right. Yes. Those of you that were concerned about the the music, yes, obviously. Yeah, I really play the trombone. I wish I would have been able to hit that really high F at the very end a little stronger. It was kind of dying. Of course, that was the end of an hour-long recital. That was the last piece, and then trying to play some of those notes. You know, you got to be in some pretty serious shape to still be able to do that after an hour. I couldn't do that now. All right. Well, it's been an hour and 15 minutes, so that's a good way to end the stream. All right, and a lot more congratulations on the 100K. Appreciate you guys. A lot of you guys like the trombone. Yeah, of course, many of you guys, if you guys have been around for a while, you've heard some of my recordings before. Of course, we got a lot of new subscribers to the channel. I mean, I probably haven't played any of those live performances in several months, and I mean, we've probably at least half of this 100K subscribers we have are probably people that subbed in the last calendar year, you know. So most people have not been around since the early days when I did a lot more, you know, of the goofy musical live streams where we'd, you know, sing the free software song and all of that stuff, which for those wondering what I played on the recorder and the harmonica earlier, those were that was the free software song. Matter of fact, those of you who want something funny to go listen to, search for free software song on my YouTube channel, and you'll see me sing the free software song as a duet with Richard Stallman. It's pretty hilarious. Other musical stuff you want to check out on my channel, make sure you guys check out my rap video, freestyle rap and the Blue Yeti mic. That was one of my earliest videos I did. And it's hilarious, me just rapping about Linux and tiling window managers. And recently, somebody found that video. I don't know how they found that old video, and they decided they wanted to do a remix of it. This guy, Bandy the Doge, I don't know. But he did DistroTube as a baller. He took my freestyle rap and added like a beat to it. And this is a pretty fantastic video. You can find that on my community tab or my YouTube page. Another milestone that I'm really happy about is over at library.tv. I mean, we're happy we got to the 100K mark, but really what I'm mostly happy about is 26K followers over on Library. Those of you that are not currently following me on Library, if you haven't checked out Library in a while, it's gotten so much better. The platform, now you can leave comments, and as a creator, you know, they're adding more stuff to it all the time. Like, it's a real platform now. Where when I joined, you know, a little more than a year ago, there was a lot of pain points to Library. There was stuff you expected to be there, features you expected to be there that weren't. And every month it seems like they're adding new features, and you're seeing an explosion of growth on Library. So many more creators are on Library. So many people are viewing content on Library. So again, if you're not following me on Library, check out DistroTube at Library. That's LBRY.TV. Or if you prefer a different user interface, you can check it out on Odyssey.com. That is ODYSEE. And they're the same site, basically. It's just, you know, a different skin. They both use the Library protocol. So check me out over there. And before I go, I want to thank a few special people here. Of course, I need to thank the patrons of the channel, because without the patrons, you know, none of what I've been doing here in the last 3 years, most of it wouldn't have been possible. I mean, you guys helped me out with so much as far as equipment purchases and helping me be able to dedicate the amount of time it's taken to make so much content. I mean, really, without the patrons, I couldn't have done all of this. So a sincere thank you to each and every one of my patrons. I want to thank these guys here: Absy, Dallas, Devin, Fran, Gabe, Lou, Corbinian, Mitchell, Akami, Arch5530, Chris, Chuck, David, the second David, Donnie, Dylan, Gregory, Lewis, Paul, Pick, VM, Scott, Wes, and Willie. So I want to thank each and every one of these ladies and gentlemen as well. I'm not going to read out this list of names because I'd never make it. But thank you, each and every one of you guys. I sincerely appreciate it. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys still hanging out in the YouTube chat, because your questions and comments today, they were really good, right? And I enjoyed doing these live events with you guys, these Q&As. So appreciate you guys. Now let me get out of here. Peace. Join us now and share the software.